The question asks, determine the empirical formula for the substance with the following percent composition. Identify the molecular formula knowing the molar mass is 180 grams per mole. You're given a substance that is 40.1% carbon, 6.6% hydrogen, and 53.3% oxygen. It's easiest if you understand that percentages are out of 100%, and if you assume that you have 100 grams of the substance, your percentages would be equivalent to your gram amounts. So if you have 40.1% carbon, you also have 40.1 grams of carbon, 6.6 grams of hydrogen, and 53.3 grams of oxygen. Now, knowing that a chemical formula will utilize subscripts, and those subscripts identify mole ratios, as in H2O. Your mole ratio is you have 2 moles of hydrogen for every 1 mole of oxygen. If we're given grams, we want to know, all right, what is the mole ratio of this substance? We'll determine the moles of each of our amounts. We just have to use the molar mass for each individual substance and convert our grams into moles. Using the periodic table, we can determine the molar mass for carbon would be 12.0 grams of carbon per 1 mole of carbon. Hydrogen, we know that in every mole of hydrogen, we have 1.01 grams of hydrogen. And for oxygen, 1 mole of oxygen is equivalent to 16.0 grams of oxygen. By taking the gram amounts and dividing them by the molar mass, we now have 3.34 moles of carbon, 6.5 moles of hydrogen, and 3.33 moles of oxygen. We could stop right here and say that our empirical formula would be carbon 3.34, hydrogen 6.5, and oxygen 3.33. But the problem is all of our subscripts include a decimal, and we know that subscripts, we have whole numbers of atoms. So what we do to get rid of our subscripts, or get rid of our decimals and get whole numbers, is we take our smallest mole amount, 3.33, and take each mole amount divided by our smallest mole amount, and we get 1. Here we get 1.95. On the bottom one we get 1. 1.95 is roughly 2. Now we have whole amounts, and we can say our empirical formula would be CH2O. So this just identified our empirical formula. The question is also asking, what would the molecular formula be given a molar mass of 180 grams? Well, to determine your molecular formula, you take your molecular formula mass divided by your empirical formula mass, and you'll get a factor. And you know your molecular formula will be a factor of your empirical formula. Whether that factor is 1, 2, 3, 4, it's just determining what is that factor going to be. We know our empirical formula mass is 180 grams per mole. Our molecular formula mass is 180 grams per mole. Our empirical formula mass, we add up all of the atom masses, 1 carbon, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, and we get a total empirical formula mass of 30 grams per mole, which gives us a factor of 6, meaning that our molecular formula is 6 times greater than our empirical formula. So if we take our empirical formula and we multiply carbon by 6, hydrogen atoms by 6, and oxygen atoms by 6, we are going to determine that the molecular formula is C6H12O6. We've now taken the percentages to moles, moles to empirical formula, and empirical formula to molecular formula.